Hello, I'm Jeremy Banning, and I've been asked to say a few words in helping to save Talbot House. To me, it's probably one of the most important places on the battlefield because it is a real living link between those hundreds of thousands of soldiers who passed through its door from 1915 onwards and to us, the modern day battlefield pilgrims, retracing their footsteps. It afforded a wonderful welcoming hospitality to the men back then, and it does the same now. You can go there, be greeted warmly, have a bit of time to yourselves, a bit of R&R, a nice cup of tea, which is always needed, and it's just the most wonderful environment. It's very hard to explain it to anyone who hasn't been there, but for every one of us who has been there, we know the feeling when we go to Talbot House. For me though, I think my memories of any visits there are always governed by the fact that I was lucky enough to accompany veterans. Most notably Harry Patch, the last fighting Tommy, who lived until he was 111, who I took back there on his first visit to the battlefields in 85 years, amazingly, back in 2002. He was only 104 years old at the time, and we took him with a couple of other veterans, Arthur Hellstrap and Jack Davis, who was about 106 at the time. And of course they were treated like royalty, and rightly so. But what was most poignant was taking them upstairs, up to the chapel, so that they could have a service, as so many thousands, tens of thousands of men had done before. Harry and Jack were carried up by the local fire brigade, which was wonderful to see. But Arthur, he was a pretty stubborn so-and-so. He decided to walk up those very steep steps up into the attic space. And it really was, it's something every time I go there now, I think about that visit and what it meant to Harry. I was lucky enough to be rooming with him, and that night he talked about the hospitality he'd received there in 1917, meeting Tubby Clayton, having an escape from the horrors of trench life, of the fighting around him, of strict army discipline, just having a little bit of sort of home comfort really. And how he said he felt very similar on his visit 85 years later. And it's that part that is so critical. That to me is why it's such an important part of any visit to the battlefield, because it is that real living link between men who passed through its doors in wartime years and us now. And I would urge everyone to do everything they can to save Talbot House.